Go for main engine start. T minus 10.
Dad!
9.
Dad!
8. 7.
Dad!
6. 5. Main engine start. 4. 3. 2. 1. Booster ignition and...
Interstellar is directed by Christopher Nolan and it stars Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, and Michael Caine. This review contains spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film, you should probably check it out first. If you don't mind the spoilers, then by all means, stick around and enjoy. In Earth's future, a global crop blight and second dust bowl are slowly rendering the planet uninhabitable. Professor Brand, played by Michael Caine, a brilliant NASA physicist, is working on plans to save mankind by transporting Earth's population to a new home via a wormhole. But first, Brand must send former NASA pilot Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, and a team of researchers through the wormhole and across the galaxy to find out which of 3 planets can be mankind's new home. Interstellar had a lot of buzz around it. The teasers and trailers looked amazing and everyone was hyped with the film. Christopher Nolan is a name that sells itself these days. Everyone rushes to see any film with his name on it, a status he achieved with great films like The Dark Knight and Inception. Interstellar is visually stunning. The cinematography is impeccable. Nolan once again chooses to shoot some scenes in IMAX, which always adds that extra layer of immersion. The performances are solid, and Hans Zimmer brings yet another mesmerizing score to a Nolan film. Despite its running time of almost 3 hours, the film is easy to watch. The plot is engaging and the pacing is perfect. The film is packed with amazing set pieces and brings to the table Einstein's theory of relativity in a very thought-provoking manner. The film's scientific accuracy is almost unquestionable. But even with all that, the film is essentially about a father trying to reunite with his daughter. That's it. That's what the film builds up to all the way through. And that is also where the film fails dramatically. The first 2 acts of the film are amazing and spectacular, but when we break into the 3rd act, Interstellar falls apart like a house of cards. It's like Nolan and his brother Jonathan had a brain freeze. To me, it just seems like they got so caught up with the twist of Cooper being the ghost in Murphy's room that they overlooked the elephant in the room, the disaster they had created in the 3rd act. In my opinion, the film starts to fall apart when Cooper goes inside the black hole. That's when Nolan really starts challenging your suspension of disbelief. I'm no expert in physics, but I'm pretty sure that if the spacecraft Cooper is in is squished, so should Cooper. But of course you can argue that Cooper had the help of the aliens/future humans like the film implies a bit later. But still, perhaps to solidify that idea, maybe the ship could have survived too. At least then, it would have been more obvious that a third party was helping Cooper in some way. Another thing that bothers me is how cryptic the message from Cooper to Murphy is, and how easily she picks it up. And how does Nolan try to get away with that? He suggests that love is quantifiable, and a man's connection to his daughter breaks all barriers. Really? Everything was going so well scientifically in the film, but then Nolan decides to get sentimental and just asks you to go along with it. It just seems to me that the 3rd act needed a lot more work on it. Ways to maintain the coherence the film had built up to that point. To add insult to injury, Nolan creates a forced and frankly unrealistic tension between Murphy and her brother while Cooper is struggling to make contact. Casey Affleck does a tremendous job with such a poorly written character, by the way. How does the film expect me to believe that a father would put his family at risk just because he's stubborn and wants to stay at the house for some reason we don't fully understand? When he finally gets back to the house and Murphy runs out excited that she made contact with Cooper, Affleck is like, okay, cool, should I be angry now? Should I be happy? In my view, there was no reason for Topher Grace's character to be pressuring Murphy to hurry up seconds before. That scene is probably the worst scene in the film actually. Even the performances are below par. Maybe because no one had a clue how to approach the material. Then comes the biggest sin the film has, the reuniting of Cooper and Murphy, the biggest moment the film built up to, the most anticipated scene of the entire movie. What do you get? You get a 2-minute scene that makes absolutely no sense and honestly fails to pay off gigantically or gargantually if you know what I mean. First of all, why is the rest of the family, Cooper's descendants, simply standing there emotionless? I mean, that guy just helped save mankind and he's like their grandfather, uncle, whatever, and nobody reacts? Cooper then walks to Murphy's bedside all sobby and they exchange this underwhelming dialogue. She hasn't seen her father in years and she's dying, but she opts to just send him off to go after Bran, a person she hardly met as a child and would normally not give two fucks about, especially at that stage of her life. Cooper walks away looking back all weepy and that's it. Interstellar builds up to this underdeveloped crap that contrasts too much with the first 2 acts of the film. And don't get me started on how ridiculous it is for Cooper to be able to just get in a ship and sail off to meet Bran without anyone noticing in this sophisticated and futuristic space station. You have that very uninspired shot of an engineer guy noticing a ship is missing. Really? Did we really need that? That shot alone is to blame. If it wasn't there, I wouldn't be questioning this tiny detail at the end of the film. I would just assume it was a planned mission to reach Bran, which would have made a lot more sense. Anyway, Interstellar is a missed opportunity in my eyes. It brings to the table so many great ideas and possibilities topped off with bold and creative filmmaking, but manages to ruin it all in the last 20 to 30 minutes. It tried to be something in the likes of Kubrick's 2001, but it missed by a long shot. The film is still very much enjoyable, but when you set up to become a masterpiece, you're bound to fail if you don't pay attention to the details. It's like Nolan put so much effort into the first 2 acts and then decided that it was enough. Let's wrap this baby up. It's awesome now. It'll work. But it didn't. It needed a lot more development. Now, with all that said, do I think the movie is terrible? By all means, no. It is still a very enjoyable experience and I will always recommend it to people. Christopher Nolan is a very gifted director and you can't take that away from him. Matthew McConaughey's performance is a delight and you are rooting for him from start to finish. It's amazing how far he's come as an actor. He has always been talented and competent, but he seems to be living the golden years of his career. I have a mixed opinion when it comes to Jessica Chastain. She is a terrific actress, but in some scenes she just seems a bit off her game, namely the scene I mentioned earlier with Casey Affleck, but I think it's fair to blame the material there. The rest of the cast delivers as expected. I don't have a lot to add, except for Matt Damon. Matt Damon steals the show once he appears. I don't particularly love his storyline, but he is a tremendous actor and always a pleasure to watch. And I think I've said enough. Do you agree with my opinion? What do you think of Interstellar? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to rate it thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can also find me in social media, links in the description below by the way, and pay a visit to my blog if you want. I post written versions of these reviews there. Happy travels, gentlemen, and I'll talk to you soon.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage against the dying of the light.
The wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning. They do not go gentle into that good night.